Hi everyone, like Mary said, I'm Mick Hawkins from Moodle HQ. I started at Moodle HQ about 7.5 years ago, and I'm based all the way over in Perth, Western Australia. My current role is as engineering manager of one of our Moodle LMS core development teams. You might have seen me around in things like Showcase Shorts, the Moodle Tracker, the forums. You might have also seen me in my duties as the lead application security engineer for Moodle LMS. If you follow the security announcements, if you're a partner, you probably see the heads up messages from me. And if you subscribe to the release day security emails for the site administrators. Today though, I'm here to talk about my new role as product manager for a brand new community contributions team. This team still works with Moodle LMS. It sits alongside the other core LMS teams at Moodle HQ. But instead of being responsible for specific components, the team has a different focus, which I'm really excited to talk about today. As we all know, one of Moodle's superpowers is its huge community, and they all contribute in a multitude of different ways. So before we go into more detail about the community contributions team, let's take a quick step back and look at what it means to say community contributions and community contributors within the context of this team, which is, when I refer to those things, what I'll be talking about here. So a very quick summary of the scope of what a community contribution can mean for this team is something that primarily contributes code to Moodle LMS. These can include things like raising and fixing bugs, improvements, new features, library upgrades, security submissions and fixes, and also translations of text content within Moodle via our Amos system. So although translations sort of traditionally don't directly require coding as such, they do run through tooling to generate language packs, and they're used by Moodle code, so for the purposes of this, we'll consider it the final product to be code. So who is a community contributor? Again, in the context of the new team. So essentially, it's anyone outside of Moodle HQ who contributes code to Moodle LMS, and again, that will include translations as well. This could be an individual contributor, an organisation, our certified Moodle partners. It could be even groups of organisations collaborating to work on projects. And as a really brief bit of history, the first ever community contributions that I could find were in October 2002, by Petri Asakainen, and if anyone knows whether that pronunciation is correct, come see me after. That actually means that community contributions to Moodle predate Moodle as a company by several years. So that first community commit included some language string additions, but the same contributor also contributed the first community code commit that I could find, which was adding one of the authentication modules. Since then, we've had over 1,100 community contributors, and even looking at the last 12 months, the core Moodle LMS code has had about 120 community developers contribute 609 commits, and that totals changes to nearly 200,000 lines of code, which is absolutely huge. Yeah. So what are some examples of the types of things that are community driven and still really important, but that don't fall within the remit of the new team? So firstly, we won't be responsible for the QA testing process and participation. We also won't be moderating and maintaining the community sites like Moodle.org and the forums, but it's worth mentioning we'll definitely be active there, probably very active. We'll be sharing information, keeping an eye on what the community is sharing and asking about. We want to look for patterns, key items of interest, and problems that need solving. We won't be looking after external plugins in the plugins directory or in the marketplace that remain external to Moodle LMS, like the core LMS rather. And finally, we won't be overseeing the user and developer documentation sites. Having said that, of course, where specific documentation is required as part of our goals, which I'll talk about shortly, or as part of work under our remit, that would still definitely be important for us as a deliverable. So, now I've established the what and who of community contributions, You might be wondering, what will this team be doing and what are its goals? So as a quick summary, we'll be a dedicated team to lead meaningful community engagement and strengthen community contributions in the Moodle LMS development space. The ways we'll achieve those things can be broken down into 4 primary goals. The first goal is to support the creation and improvement of clear contribution guidelines and developer onboarding resources. With this goal, we want to make sure we have super clear guidelines and information available to anyone who contributes already or is interested in getting started. So everyone from a brand new individual developer through to our long-time partners, anyone in between, everyone has clear guidelines, standards, and resources available to them to help more easily and effectively contribute to the Moodle project. Some of the types of initiatives we'll be working on are making sure we have a playbook of clear and comprehensive resources on subjects like how to contribute, the different ways you can contribute, and coding standards. Plus, we'll make sure onboarding for new contributors is as smooth as it can be, so it's as easy as possible to get involved, they have a positive experience, and they want to stay around in the community. The good news is that we already have a lot of great documentation and resources that we can build on top of. So I think an early piece of work under this goal will be reviewing what's already available and how it's all organised. Once we have that baseline, we can do a deeper analysis, identify any gaps, any common challenges that could be avoided if we have the right information and structure. It'll also be really useful to gain feedback from both HQ and the community as well on some key areas. So, patterns of findings across peer reviews people are finding, integration reviews, that sort of information will help us identify some of those common pitfalls across different key areas that we can try and reduce or solve with clearer guidelines. Our second goal is to enhance contributor tooling and development workflows. So in addition to the resources and information I just talked about, we also want to support the community contributors by making sure they have access to development tools, environments, and scripts that help them work more efficiently. So for example, scripts to automate common or frequent tasks and actions that don't really need to be done manually by people. Making sure it's quick and low effort to set up and maintain development environments and prototype sites. Easy and clear access to necessary development pipelines. And ensuring translation tooling's intuitive and easy to use. Where am I? There we go. So where we already have some of these things in place, we want to make sure that they're feature complete and that they run smoothly and they're well maintained. We also want to ensure that the development workflows are clear and easy to follow as well. As with the last goal, all of these are going to require a combination of analysis and feedback over time. So we can see what already works well, identify the focus areas, figure out what we need to prioritise and any improvements and new tooling that are required. So this goal really goes hand in hand with the first goal, so making sure every community contributor has all of the tools and the resources that they need to be set up for success so they can focus on what they do best. Our third goal is to provide a support framework for open source contributors. What this means is regular and proactive support earlier in the development process on community open source initiatives and projects with feedback loops through avenues like mentorship, Q&A sessions, facilitating technical reviews and user experience support as well. That might not sound entirely new because we've been working with the community on lots and lots of initiatives over the years, even as recently as the most recent major release. But historically, that's been facilitated by the team responsible for the main component being worked on. And that's in addition to all of their other priorities and everything else, and their own projects. So the community contributions team will work closely with those component teams, of course. But for the first time, we're a dedicated resource with that type of work being a major part of our DNA. For some developers though, they might not have a specific project in mind and they want to contribute, but they don't know where to start, or they don't know what to work on next. So there's obviously new requests of all different sizes and complexities coming in pretty much every day into our tracker. We work hard to triage them and add them to our backlog, but we can obviously only work on a finite number of things at any one time. And there's always lots of exciting bug fixes, feature requests and improvements there that we're not going to get to, sort of maybe as urgently as somebody would like it. So I'm really keen to explore ways we can highlight some of those items from the backlog that are strong candidates for community contributions. So for people looking for their next task or challenge, they can find something to work on no matter what their level of experience is. Finally, our fourth goal is to encourage active community engagement. So that involves leading or being involved in meaningful community engagement initiatives like advisory groups, special interest meetings, looking at trends and items of interest in the community forums, as well as celebrating community contributions and achievements. One area of interest for us will to be actively looking at some of the really cool things happening in the community that we identify that might have a broad appeal for a wide range of Moodle sites around the world, and then reaching out to the maintainers or the developers about bringing some of those features into the core LMS, particularly when they closely align with our product roadmap. A really good example of where that's worked really well in the past was introducing multi-factor authentication in Moodle 4.3, which started out as an external plugin developed by Catalyst. An early key initiative that I'd like to do for engagement would be refreshing the community developer meetings. So we're currently aiming to do that this year. We want to have a longer term published schedule so that everybody knows when they're coming well in advance. Make it easier for more people to attend by maybe having multiple different time zones available, and also making it easier for speakers to get involved when they want to. Another early initiative as well will be getting your feedback, but I'll talk about that right at the end. So for our community contributors, with a lower barrier to entry, a better contributor experience, and a dedicated team to work with, we aim to achieve bigger impact together. So who does this benefit? In short, everyone. It benefits the whole community and everyone using Moodle LMS or an adjacent Moodle product or service. For new or newer contributors, it means better onboarding and an easier time getting started with your first contributions. A lower barrier to entry means more people can be involved, growing a bigger community so we can achieve more and make an even bigger positive impact on Moodle together. For established contributors, it'll mean more engagement and a more streamlined contribution experience. For larger or long-term major projects, it means working alongside a team with development resources dedicated to this type of work. And it means improved pathways for getting us involved as early as possible in the process, often even before a single line of code's been written. Getting across projects like this means we can ensure that they align with our roadmap and long-term product goals, as well as making sure the user experience and code structure is consistent with the core system. This aims to reduce overheads and reworks, so those important contributions can land easier, earlier in the release, and hopefully faster as well, because the team will already have the background and context of the work before it reaches the integration stage. To sum all of that up, all of these things not only benefit our contributors, the outcomes benefit users on every side as well. So what won't change? So not every bug or improvement submitted by the community will go through a new process, and for the most part, we won't even see them. The development cycle for a lot of community work won't change, and the majority will pass through and be integrated by the component team as they already are at the moment. The last thing we want to be is a bottleneck or an extra hurdle in anyone's processes. Where we do want to play a part in those issues is making sure that anyone working on them is well informed, has everything they need to streamline everything from raising the issue with all the pertinent information included in there, through to providing a solid patch that's in a good state to be integrated in the core code and then be released. So now for some examples. So I've put together 3 hypothetical scenarios to show some of the different ways that the team will be involved in development initiatives. So example scenario 1, the day-to-day issue. So let's say you're a fairly new contributor, you raise an accessibility issue that you found on the site homepage, you even provided a patch for it. The component team peer reviews and integrates it as normal, so there's no major changes there. But with the help of our improved contributor onboarding, you had all of the resources and tools at your disposal to make sure you provided all of the relevant information. The code was great, it was well covered by testing, and it made it into Moodle LMS without any setbacks. Scenario 2, around mentorship and support. So you and your team are working on an exciting new way to integrate SMS into all of your favourite Moodle activities. It's fairly involved, but you think it'll benefit a lot of universities and other institutions around the world. So you reach out through some future improved process, which I don't have the answer for just yet. But you think it'll benefit them, and we agree that it'll benefit a lot of sites. The community contributions team works with your team from the outset to make sure we both align on the outcomes. After that, we then continue to support your team, make sure the code and the user experience are cohesive and consistent with each activity and with the core LMS as well. With all those things in place, and with our team already familiar with the project, by the time it reaches the integration stage, they've already got the full context and the background, everything aligns really well, there's minimal revisions required, and the whole project lands really smoothly. So the final scenario I have here, actively seeking valuable contributions. So we discover a great addition to the AI subsystem in community projects in, say, the marketplace or the plugins database, or there's been quite a few talks about it in the last couple of days, even at a moot like this one. We think the feature would be really beneficial to a large proportion of the community, and it aligns with our strategic goals. So we reach out to the maintainer about potentially integrating it, or even just the key parts of it into the core LMS, so that we can develop it further for a wider audience. The original developer provides some really helpful insights about some known limitations and also some gotchas about what might come up within our requirements. With all of that information, we're able to successfully make necessary adjustments required to safely and successfully integrate it into the core. So as many sites as possible can benefit from it, and they can also benefit from all of the additions and improvements that we want to make to it in the future. So when's all of this happening? So it is still very early days. In fact, preparing this talk was the first thing I had to do in my new role, and it's the first piece of work for the new team. The initial work to set up the team, kick off planning, and sort of initial prioritising, though, will be starting in October, so it's getting pretty close. Obviously, sort of covered a lot of ground today, but it definitely won't all be happening on day one. And as I mentioned way back near the start of the talk, being community contributions, I'd love to get some early input from you, our community. If you scan the QR code or visit the survey URL there, I've put together some questions that will tell me a bit about you or your team, your experience either as a contributor or somebody that's interested in getting started as a contributor. It'll help drive some of our early research and initiatives so that we can work on prioritising things within the team. One thing I did want to mention as well, though, is this isn't only for existing developers or translators to fill in. I'm absolutely keen to get anyone that's interested in being involved that hasn't taken that first step yet to also fill it in. There's actually a couple of pathways in there depending on whether you're sort of an existing contributor or want to start contributing, so that we can learn from those two different sets of people. I'll also post a link to this in the general developer forums soon as well. And I've put a link to that there as well, because we'll be keen to post more things there, get more feedback, see what everybody's up to. So if you're interested in following us along here on this journey with the community contributions team as we ramp up, please subscribe to the forum. Now, I hope everybody's had a great moot so far, and thanks a lot for coming along to my talk. I'm really, really excited to get this kicked off, and I hope you're excited for us to have this going as well. But yeah, that's all I've got. Thanks.
Thank you. Any questions? Oh, you do that one, yeah?
Thanks, Mick. Good presentation. Great to see some focus on this for the community because it has the potential to make some positive change and increase the number of community contributions. So it's awesome. Just had a question. One of the challenges with community contributions is the time frame it takes to get a feedback from the peer review process. I note that you mentioned you're not going to be looking at all patches, but is there something involved in this team that will sort of try and improve the time it takes for the team to respond to those, particularly the new contributors who find a problem, fix a patch, drop it in the tracker, and then don't wait 6 months for a component lead review to notice that?
Yeah, so yeah, like I said, it'll sort of still be primarily the component teams working on those things, but we'll definitely be helping out with that. And I think hopefully one of the biggest impacts we can have are, looking at the processes, the workflows, how we can improve them, hopefully giving those new contributors, like you mentioned, all of the things that they need so that there's not sort of a lot of back and forth as well, so that, things can land quickly, they get that first win really early because they're sort of set up for success. So yeah, definitely keen to work at that from lots of different angles. Any other questions?
Hello. I was just wondering, I think yesterday I heard you mention that you want to switch to React. Is there any thoughts about getting rid of PHP as a language, or?
Getting rid of PHP, did you say?
Yes.
I hope not, because I don't know that many other languages. No.
Okay.
No, I don't think so. At least, yeah, no.
Travis will deal with that question.
Yes, talk to Travis. Yes,
Yeah,
hang around.
Travis is doing a talk at 5 p.m. if you're interested in changes like that.
Tim?
Hi, Mick. Yeah, Tim Hunt from the Open University. I'm not even going to pretend to ask a question. I'm just going to give my opinion. So, Tim, I've been contributing to Moodle from outside HQ for most of the last 19 years. Given where we are now, I think you and Moodle have correctly identified what needs to be done to make the process better, and I think your 14 goals are spot on as the place to start. So, good luck. I look forward to it, and anything I can do to help.
Thank you so much.
Well, you are. You're surveying. Awesome.
Thanks so much.
Hello. Having looked at your lovely typeform, which I really appreciate, just even trying to get a sense of who you might be interacting with, I'm really interested to see that there's no mention of any contributions around UX or research or anything like that. It'd be really interesting to hear how you think maybe that whole other part of activity and contribution might come into that. Obviously, it's not necessarily developer specific, but obviously you'd hope some of that would feed in. So any thoughts on that?
Well, I guess with that feedback survey that you mentioned, it'd be great to, sort of learn more about that. I think in all of the lists of things that I mentioned there, I tried to leave an other section as well. So I'd, be interested to learn from all different avenues, and whether that's this team or something I pass on to, another team. I guess entirely depends what it is, but yeah, I'm definitely keen to learn everything that we can.
Thank you, Mary. I wish there could be a contract for Moodle Workplace that freelancers can contribute to Moodle Workplace. Are there any plans to set up such a contract?
Probably outside of my area of expertise. Maybe Emilio or Marie might be the best people to talk to about that.
We don't currently have a formal plan for a contract. There's a few thoughts that I have, and I think one of the better ones is workplace, just like LMS, can be extended via extensions like plugins. And so if people want to contribute to the workplace ecosystem, they can make a workplace plugin or a workplace compatible plugin. We know that there are some challenges in that because it's a lot harder to test because you can't access all of the information that you need, but we don't currently have any plans to do that. It's a thought. We can put it on our list of things to think about.
Okay, any more questions?
Who's on point for the AI subsystem now?
That would still be Team Hedgehog.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Any individual? Can't
Pardon?
name them. Just the team. All right. No worries.
When in doubt, Matt.
Any more questions? Okay, Zoe?
It's not a question, but I didn't see who asked the question about UX contributions, so could you come and find me after this session? Hello, thank you.
Okay, if there's no more questions, thank you very much. Thank you again, Mick. And we'll just have a couple of minutes before the next one.